Greetings, family. We are live. Welcome, welcome to the Sister Shanice show. I have another fantastic, blacktastic show lined up for you today. So pull your chairs up or get comfortable in your armchair. I've got a wonderful, fantastic, blacktastic presentation that I'm looking forward to. Well, actually, excitedly looking forward to delivering to you, my wonderful, wonderful YouTube audience. Thank you so much in advance for being active participants on this show. I don't take your interaction or your presence here for granted. Much appreciate love you joining me today. And if you are already in the house and you've got the links, please do share, so that others who may be interested in our history can get the opportunity to join us today and view this wonderful presentation that I've got lined up for you. So thank you all so much again in advance for joining me. Please share the link. Please let family and friends know that we are live and that I'm rearing to go, because wow, we have a phenomenal history that goes back hundreds of thousands of years. And it's a history that has been hidden from us. It's not a history that was ever truly lost, because a lot of our history is still evident in the monuments. And if you've been following this series, you would know that there is evidence of our ancient history on all the continents around the globe. Yes, indeed. And so we are privileged, we are honored, and we are indeed, in gratitude to our ancestors that they provided for us, evidence of their greatness in stone, so that, it couldn't be lost to us today. And what an exciting journey it has been. Certainly hope that you have been with me throughout this journey, and that, you've been enjoying it as much as I have been enjoying doing the research. So just getting the link ready to share with family and friends. And I would really appreciate love if you would support me and also share the link as well. Much appreciate love in advance. I can't do it on my own. I do need your support. I do need your help to get the word out, to get the link out, to encourage family and friends to subscribe. I do this for the love of my community, because I sincerely believe that knowledge of our history is empowering. Knowledge of our past can heal us as a people. It can contribute towards our healing, because, we're a people who have been so traumatized by a version of history that has been fed to us by missionaries, by the schooling system or the fooling system. They've fed us a version of history that has really considerably dampened our potential. And so most of us don't even realize the greatness that's locked up inside of us. And, this knowledge of our history, I sincerely believe, will help to unlock the door to our greatness. It will open up, our eyes to see opportunities that maybe we thought before were beyond us, because we hadn't been given a version of ourselves that suggested that we might be capable of doing all the things that I know we can do. So let me just quickly jump over to the chat before I start sharing, and just check who we've got in the house. Make sure that I'm actually coming out loud and clear. Who we got in the house? Oh, we got Brother Kwame Aboje in the house. High five, Brother Kwame Aboje. Great to have you in the house. Tendai Mwari, beloved. To you and your family and all your loved ones. You say, absolutely, we have a history that has been covered up. Yes, indeed. And I'm doing the works, and your likes of you and others are doing the works to uncover that history that has been hidden from us for far too long. And what a wonderful, wonderful journey it is to be on. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Kwame, for joining me on that journey as well. We've got Sister Karen in the house. Great to know that you're there, Sister Karen. Rise up yourself. Wonderful to have you in the house. We've got Sister Adawa. Beloved Betty in the house. Thumbs up to you too, beloved. Yes, and please give me a like so that, you know, apparently the more likes you get, the more the likelihood is that YouTube will put your material out there. Probably doesn't apply to my stuff, but nevertheless, please do give me a like. It's your way of just saying to me, yeah, go on, sis, go on, yeah, do good, you know, go on, carry on. Thank you so much. Brother Kwame, hailing up Sister Adawa and Sister Karen in the house as well. I love the family. I love it when the family come together. What a beautiful family we've got in this house as well. Sister Karen says, I never want to miss this class. Thank you so much. I've been putting the work in. You know, I've had visitors. My beautiful sisters came and visited me and spent 10 days with me. And so I've been putting the work in around them, and they've only just left a couple of days ago. So I kind of crammed this presentation together, and I just get led by the Spirit. I just never know, you know, until I finish what my presentation is going to be about. You know, obviously I've got a good idea, but, you know, the details I don't know. So I'm just led by the Spirit, and that's what happened over the last couple of days. I thought I was going to be doing a presentation on X, but it turns out I'm doing a presentation on Y, opening up new doors and, you know, new insights into our history. And so I'm absolutely excited about where our ancestors are taking me. Rise up, Sister Verna. Great to know that you are watching. Sister Verna is my blood sister. And wow, I had her and my other sister spend 10 days with me, and it was wonderful family. There's nothing like, you know, blood family and having your brothers and sisters, you know, spend quality time together. You know, obviously we all grew up together and it's fun growing up, but then you know what happens as we get mature, we all kind of go our separate ways. We have our families, we have our relationships, so we stay in touch, you know, these days via social media. But when you come together in the flesh, it's a different level. It's beautiful. And so thank you to my beloved sisters for, you know, taking the time to come and spend some quality time with me. I really appreciate loved you doing that. And I didn't take, you know, your warm presence and your energy and your love for granted. I was just savoring every moment of it. So more love, more strength to each and every one of you, beautiful sisters and family, you know, wherever you are in the world. Anytime you pass through the UK or you pass through Gambia or wherever me there, just make me know say you're there, yeah? Just make me know say you're there, and I will definitely look forward to hooking up with you. Rise up, Sister Karen, sending messages from the USA, the United States of America. She said, tear off the bandage, tear off the bandage, tear it off. Rise up. Enough respect to you, Brother Kwame Oboje, all the time as well. And he's sending me enough respect for exposing the truth. I want to rise up the Kashiba in the house, who's giving me a $4 donations. She's given me a cuppa. Thank you so much appreciate. Love. High five to you, and welcome to the family. Thank you so much. And Karen is telling you blacktastic as well. Yes, we are absolutely blacktastic in this house. Oh, I'm loving the chat so much. I'm forgetting to share the link. Apologies to those who are waiting to get the link. So we got Debuff in the house as well. D-Huff, rise up, saying good afternoon. So you are somewhere where it is afternoon. It is evening where I am at the moment. Where are you in the world? Yeah, when you message me in the chat, please do let me know where in the world you are viewing us from. Welcome. We welcome you from wherever you are in the world. We are one beautiful melanated family. And oh, wow, you know, what a privilege, what a privilege. I've got to get this mosquito, you know, what a privilege it is to be a melanated person during these times. I wouldn't want to be any other. We are, you know, just so privileged, really, to have this beautiful melanin skin that, you know, just keeps you looking young, even when you're 60 plus like me. Oh, did I tell you my age? Almost. Rise up, family. More love to each and every one of you. And to all of my fantastic family out there, rise up, rise up. Looks like Brother Errol's in the house. I'm not seeing you in the house, Brother Errol, but I know you're there because Brother Kwame is bigging you up. Great to have you in the house. Wonderful, wonderful. And then Sister Karen says, I'm going to get another copy of your book for my best friend. Thank you so much. To each and every one of you who have already purchased one of my books, I am so grateful. I've got 6 books out there. This is my latest, the one here, Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain. An erased, well, which side is it? Here is it? Is it that way? Yeah. An Erased African History Restored. It's a book that focuses on our history in Britain. 44,000 years of British history that has been swept under the carpet and denied of us as a people. That, you know, they basically just hidden it. They taught us a history in the school, colleges, and university in Britain that suggested that as a people, we just came over with the wind on the Windrush, which was in the late 1950s. And then, you know, more of us piled into the UK during the 1960s and onwards. And they were telling us that, you know, that Britain belonged to the Caucasians and that they're the indigenous people of Britain, only for me to do the research and uncover that we as Africans are the indigenous people of Britain, and that we have a history that goes back over 44,000 years. We had kings and queens, we had industries, we brought civilization to the land. And these people today have basically just claimed our history, our heritage, our names, and our land as their own. They came in among us as friends, and then they grew in numbers, and then joined the armies and grew in power, and then, you know, saw the squabbles that we were having among ourselves and saw the opportunity for them to come in and become the rulers over us. And that's what they did. And isn't that what's happening in South Africa right now? Are they not seeing, as white people, the squabbles that we're having among ourselves? And are they not preparing for the opportunity to actually come in and take over South Africa? And the thing about it is that they've done such a clever job of dividing the South Africans from the rest of us as Africans by fueling this xenophobia or Afrophobia situation, that the South Africans have kind of lost the respect and are not likely to get any support from any other African nation. And so what's going to happen? The white people are like clapping their hands because they know anytime they move in and they start doing the dirty and start taking over South Africa from the stupid South Africans that are perpetuating this Afrophobia, who they ain't got no strength for, you know, and no talk for. Anytime they're whitey decides that them are going to step in and take it over, I hate that, you know. They are just going, they got rid of millions. I think it was about 30 million. No, actually, don't quote me on this. But they managed during the, immediately after the apartheid era, to get rid of millions of South Africans through HIV AIDS that was deliberately spread according to the research, you know, and according to the information and the doctor deaths and the like, that was deliberately spread across South Africa. And now they're going to come back. They want South Africa, you know. Don't get it twisted. We, the enlightened ones, know who the ones are behind the xenophobia, what they're calling xenophobia, but it's actually Afrophobia. Yeah, it's a phobia against other Africans. We know who's behind it. We know who's fueling it. Sadly, it's just the South Africans who don't know. And they are going to be the victims in the long run, while the rest of Africa, folds its arms and watches, because of what we are being fed via social media and not realizing who the real enemy is. So yes, Sister Karen, she says, wake up, Black family, spread the word about our Black history. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Karen says, I can't claim our lips, hair, does, culture, etc. Oh, they can't claim our lips, hair. Yes, yeah, like they do our culture. Absolutely. This is why on so many of the statues and even on some of the images that we're going to be seeing in my presentation today, they do a great effort of destroying our nose, because once they take off, our nose from off those monuments, it leaves most of us questioning and wondering, whether or not those monuments are indeed the faces of our ancestors or theirs. And that is, the goal and the aim of them destroying the facial features of those monuments. Rise up, Sister Karen. Yes, you joined me on Saturday for my community talk show. Thank you so, so much. It was a privilege having you on board, and to everyone else who joined me on Saturday as well for the community talk show. What an interesting conversation we had. We had a discussion about reparations. It went deep. We had representatives who have been involved in the reparations on a national and international level. We had special guests from Jamaica, special guests from the continent, and of course we had people from the UKKK as well. It was a family gathering. Oh, it was so good. Rise up, Sister Verna. I can see you in the house there saying, greetings, Sister Shanice and family. I had a fabulous time with you and the GAM fam. Thank you so, so much for joining us. It was a privilege having you on board to share a bit of the GAM fam life with us. It really, really was. B1 family, yes, we have to stick together. That's for sure, And it breaks my heart when I see the Afrophobia, the black on black crime, and that, we're still falling for, the scam really from the mainstream and not realizing that, we are being played as a people. It's sad, really, it's sad. So to everybody who's already in the house, thank you so, so much. Thank you for blowing up the chat as well. Please, welcome our brothers and sisters in the house on board. Those of you who are here for the first time, thank you so, so much for joining us. You're wondering what I'm doing. I'm just sending out the link to a few family members and friends. So thank you so, so much for your patience. I'm ready to get the show on the road. Let me just get the chat up on my phone as well. So I've got it so that when I'm in my presentation, if you want to send me any messages, I can look to my phone and I can see the messages on my phone because obviously I won't be able to see it on the computer while I am here, while I'm delivering a presentation. Sister Karen says, leave your wide, big noses alone. Absolutely, my love, my broad nose. I love it. Reparations we got in the house. Greetings from Enfield, North London. Great to have you in the house. Reparation Nation, great to have you. Dorothea, it's been a while. Welcome, welcome. So garage in, garage out. Is that supposed to be garbage in, garbage out? We must protect our gaze, mouth, ears, and eyes. Yes, indeed. Barbara Carmen saying it's so true, Sister Shanice, our self-hate is an illness. It really, really is. Family, today's presentation is going to make you realize even more, the greatness and the heights that we were at as a people. And it's self-hate, that tore us down from the inside and allowed others to come in. Yes, Karen, if we don't wake up as a people, we're going to be in serious, serious trouble. These people, yeah, have been systematically eliminating us continent after continent, you know, nation after nation for thousands of years, and it's still going on. And we allow it because we are so divided as a people. So yes, Sister Betty, the self-hate is real. And we are indeed the indigenous people of the world. And I love that because so many more of us are saying it. So many more of us are realizing it. You know, it just puts a smile on my face from ear to ear. The more social media posts I see and read that make that statement that we are indeed the indigenous people of the world, and we are the indigenous people of every continent and of every nation. And one of the reasons why it puts a big smile on my face, because it blows a big hole in their version of our history, his history, that suggests that we all just, you know, came from the trees and the jungle of Africa as slaves, and that's how we ended up everywhere in the world. That is the biggest lie from the pit of hell that was sold to us by the missionaries who miseducated us after our enslavement, and their version of history that they continue to perpetuate in the schooling system that we call the schooling system. And so what I must say to everyone is that it's so important that you tune in, you know, to Black History sessions like this one, so that you can be, you know, I know most of you are very enlightened and aware already, but from the research that I do, I may actually come across some information that maybe you haven't come across as yet. And when you come across information, you can share it with us as here as well. And each one will teach one. And get books like my book here that I'm advertising, Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain. Support my works, and at the same time as supporting my works, get the knowledge, you know, that I have uncovered for you, that I'm sharing with our community about our wonderful, wonderful history. Rise up, Dorafel. Sister Shanice, any update on Bubba Winters? Haven't heard or seen him for a while. Brother, Rise Up, thank you so much for asking. Spoke with Brother Winters a couple of days ago. He's making a slow recovery, but he's making a recovery. And, you know, he wants to take his time to get back to full health. He wasn't well a little while back, and he actually came back probably too soon when he wasn't 100%. And what happens when you come back too soon? Sometimes it just knocks you for six again. And that's what happened. And so, you know, he needs to build up his strength. He needs to, you know, get back to full health. He was in and out of hospital a couple of times. But, you know, I'm thankful. I know we're all thankful that, you know, he's still the same great Bubba Winters. You know, he's got his faculties. He's still doing his research. He's still thinking about what he's going to be doing when he comes back. You know, he's preparing for us, family. Yes, please do continue to send healing vibrations his way. Send love, send messages, you know, make him feel the love. Rise up, brother Glenroy from Zanzibar. We've got Zanzibar in the house. We've got the USA in the house. We've got the UKKK in the house. And wherever you are watching us from, I am absolutely, absolutely grateful and honored to have you in the house. Yes, indeed. Okay, so let me minimize YouTube for now and get my presentation ready, because I have another Blacktastic presentation for you today, family, and really looking forward to sharing today's knowledge that I've uncovered with you, our wonderful family. So I'll just let my little spin do its thing in the background for a moment or two, and then I will be able to start the presentation, because I am ready to rock and roll. So spinning computer, hurry up and do your thing. Okay, all righty, fantastic. In fact, let me just quit that package so that if anyone calls, it doesn't actually interfere with today's presentation. So let me just quit on that one and open up my presentation behind the screen. Do my thing to get us started. Right, share. Okay, go over to advance. Let's put that as the background. That's all. Come on, advance. Okay, I notice it bumps off when I do that sometimes. Try it again. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. Right, just setting it up. Okay, let's see. It's saying video video. Okay, let me share anyway and see what's going on. See what comes up. Oh, it's supposed to be here. And then let me look on my screen and see what's happening online. Okay, all righty. I'm just looking on my phone just to see what comes up. Looks like we got it going on. Did I say that good to my American family? Got it going on. Oh, today, yes, I think I've got it. The title of today's presentation is When the World Was African. Yes, indeed, family, there was a time when the world was indeed African. And what a time that was. And we're going back to that time. We're going back to the time before there was even a Caucasian on the planet to speak of that we as Africans were even aware of. We're going back to a time in our history when the whole world was African. And when we as Africans had populated the entire globe, we migrated from Africa. 60,000, 60, some say 50,000 years ago, we started migrating out of Africa. Some say even earlier, as early as 200,000 years ago, we migrated out of Africa and populated all the continents on this planet. Yes, indeed. And today's presentation, well, actually, we're on episode 15. And if you go back over the 14 presentations, we've been to Japan for evidence of our presence, to China, to India, to the Americas, Mexico. We have been all over the globe, and we've been highlighting the evidence of our ancient civilizations and the existence of us as a people and the greatness of those ancient civilizations. And last strong, our journey took us to Egypt, and we was looking at Egypt as basically the epicenter of our greatness. We were great everywhere, but Egypt, or Kemet, as I've been told to call the region, because that was the original name before it was renamed Egypt. Kemet was like the epicenter of our greatness. So fortunately for us, our ancestors actually carved their history and their stories into stone. And as a result of them carving our story into stone, we are able today to be aware of that ancient legacy that we have as Africans, which actually laid the foundation of civilization itself. So let's journey into the past. Let's go back into the past when the world was African. But so those of you who may have missed the session that I did last strong, some say weak, I say strong, you may have missed a session. If you did, basically go and check it out. We went and looked at some of the treasures of Kemet. And as we continue with our series today, I don't want you to forget the evidence that was presented last strong, or the evidence that was presented in previous episodes. Okay, it's really important that what we're doing is actually building on the intellectual knowledge and culture that we as a people had during our ancient times. And so even last strong, I actually did a presentation that showed Kemet's brilliant intellectual culture, which was unrivaled. They developed a really complex writing system that we all know as the hieroglyphs, and that complex writing system at the time actually served as both a practical tool for extensive bureaucracy and as a sacred medium for the religious philosophy. And so, you know, the Kemetians had a scribal class that was so highly educated that they were able to manage not just Kemet and the Society of Kemet, but they were managing nations across the globe. And, you know, it was a society that utilized a 365-day solar calendar. It was a society that used advanced mathematics in their daily business. I mean, today we use a very basic level of mathematics because we are so undereducated. But we were coming from a society, and you can see that from the artwork and from the inscriptions and the hieroglyphs and the inventions. You know, we were coming from such an advanced society that irrespective of the profession that we were in, we were operating at a very highly disciplined level. So whether we needed to use, even if we needed to use mathematics in our daily work or business, we were able to do that at an advanced level. We performed delicate surgeries and we know this because it's recorded in the papyrus, the medical papyri. We understood the movement of the stars. We sailed the seas. We built colossal monuments that can't be replicated today. We built pyramids that can't be replicated today. You know, the intellectual height and depth and breadth that we had as Africans in the ancient days was such that it was, we were the cradle of wisdom. We were the body of knowledge and civilization. And that's why later civilizations like the Greeks and the Roman emperors, that's why they all traveled to Kemet to study our mystery system, to study, you know, our prestigious industries and societies and civilization. And here on the slide is just an example, beautiful example of our works. Look at the standard, look at the art, look at the beauty of our works back in the day, family. And this could only have come about because there was a society of people that valued education and that, you know, educated its citizens to such a high standard that irrespective of the industry that you were in, you know, whether it was the metallurgy, whether it was masonry, or whether it was making sandals. Look what the cobblers were making. Aye. And today, you know, we are nowhere near this standard because the education that we are being taught is so low that we are only firing about 10%, of our potential. So before his story began, Africans were busily laying the foundations of civilization across the globe. Before his story began, we had spent hundreds of thousands of years. They say tens of thousands of years, but I'm convinced we've been around for hundreds of thousands of years as civilized societies. We know that, you know, as the original people of the world, that we've been around for millions of years. But I believe that our civilizations go back at least hundreds of thousands of years, and they are collapsed in time when they give us these carbon dates of our ancient civilizations. But we'll go along with the tens of thousands of years of laying the foundations across the world of the civilizations that we had created. So in this episode, we're not just going to be looking at history in terms of his story. We are going to be tracing the origins of some of the belief systems. And I'm just going to be touching on the origins of the belief system because I'm going to go into that in a separate presentation. We're also going to be tracing the origins of the identity of these featured monuments, people in faces who we've seen some of these monuments and the art. And we're also going to be looking at the origins and be convinced of the origins of civilization itself. So that means we're going way back. When we talk about origins, we are going way back. So it's episode 15 today. And for those of you who've been joining me over all of the episodes, thank you so, so much. If you're joining me for the first time today, please do go back, check out the earlier episodes, and please share the knowledge. Each one teach one. In today's episode, we're going to take this conversation even deeper. We're going to reflect a bit on the words of Ivan van Sertima. He's one of our many greats who reminded us that tens of thousands of years ago, and he said up to 55,000 years ago, all the people on this earth were African. However, since Ivan van Sertima, there's a whole new discipline of geneticists who are going over a lot of the artifacts and taking DNA from some of these skeleton remains that these archaeologists have in their basements. And they're coming up with new evidence. And what they are saying from the evidence that they're revealing to us is that up to 3,000 years ago, almost all of Europe was black. Up to 3,000 years ago, they're saying almost all Europe was black. And we knew this. Those of you who've been following the history on this channel knew this already anyway. They're now saying it. And so when we look at the ancient evidence that's left behind, the question is no longer if, but how far that solid African legacy extends. As I said, I believe it extends hundreds of thousands of years, but so far we've been told that it extends tens of thousands of years. Because across the world, we can see carved into stone itself, carved into the mountains, carved into the cave, carved into the earth itself, we find the same story around the world in stone masonry, in the pyramids, in the tombs, in the tunnels, in the labyrinths, in the monuments engraved with unmistakable African phenotypes. Yes. And these are not random structures. They are evidence of exceptional building capability, of a people who understood engineering. When we look at these monuments and these huge megalithic carvings into mountains, we are looking at a people who understood the earth, the engineering, science, and could perform to such a high level. Can we do this today? We're not educated. We don't have the education systems and the educational institutions that can give us the level of education that we had back in the day that enabled us, to rise to this level of brilliance. Look at these monuments that we carved back in the day, and what our ancestors were doing, they were carving a legacy into stone, and they were writing our history into stone. And it's as a result of this written history that, we are able to, see the evidence and the truth for ourselves today. And they were also writing their belief systems into stone, because there's stories in stone and there's symbolisms in the stone as well that talk about fertility, talk about life, talk about the creation. There's evidence of our early spiritual belief systems that I'll be touching on today, and, we honored life as a people. We honored life. And we're going to be following that thread, and we're going to start arriving as well at some spiritual junctions that we're very familiar with today, that some of us may not realize how far back it goes. You may recall the image that I presented in the last episode of Ramesses II, who's here in the Osirian pose. Some of us might call it the Wakanda pose. It's the Osirian pose. Here it is, Ramesses II, who's thousands of years old, in the Osirian pose, and he's holding what we know as a rod and staff. And that's a symbol that began in ancient Kemet thousands of years ago and has evolved through time. And we're going to be touching on that a bit more. All right, so we're going to be stretching across the continents. You're going to see how, some of Kemet's spiritual belief systems have actually traveled across continents, and how we now recognize some of these belief systems that have traveled, them to be incorporated in what we call Christianity today. But before we jump into that, let me bring you a few words. Oh no, maybe I can't, because I didn't click the audio. I don't think I clicked the audio, so we may not be able to hear this. Let me know if you can hear what you're saying, please. I'm going to stop it because it sounded a little distorted my end. Were you able to hear what our beloved Baba Ivan van Sertima was saying? Let me look in the chat. Brother Kwame is saying they came to our society. Yes, they did. They came to our society of Kemet to come to destroy, and they came with destruction. Absolutely. Isn't that what's happening in South Africa right now? Playing one group against another, and so that they can come in and destroy. Yeah, rise up, Sister Adawa as well. They're always trying to disprove our truth with their fairy tales of our beginnings. Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Ivan van Sertima was actually saying there that there were no humans on Earth except Africans up to about 55,000 years ago. And I was just bringing this clip so that you could hear him say that with his own mouth. And it's not me making it up. Yeah, he actually did say that. And he also said that it was us as Africans that moved across the various parts of the world. We moved to the east, we moved towards Asia, we moved to the west, when we moved towards Europe. And at that time, there were only Black people. And the science has proven that today, over and over again, when they when they do the DNA testing of the skeleton remains of these ancient skeletons, they always come up as highly melanated. Rise up, Kashiba, thanks for letting me know. Rise up, Sister Verna, thanks for letting me know about the audio. Brother Glenroy, thank you so much. So I'm going to leave the audio. I know what happened there when I went into the presentation via Zoom. I should have clicked the audio, because I don't usually use audio. I didn't do that, hence why it's not coming out properly. But I've just told you what he was saying there. Yeah, this is what we've been saying from the outset, that we are the original people of all of the continents across the globe. And I hope every single one of us has got the evidence now of that, and realize that that is indeed the case, despite what we have been taught in our schooling system. Yeah. And, if we go back into ancient times, you would have seen, as we've been moving through our series, that there has been so much of our history that's been hidden in plain sight. And there comes a time like now when I'm saying we're going to have to confront, this history head on. The fact that we have all of this ancient history that has been hidden in plain sight that they have been trying to deny us of. Because, what we're going to see throughout this presentation and what we have been seeing about from our presentation is evidence of that history. And our ancient civilization was never discarded. This is what I found. Our ancient civilization, and even though I call it ancient African civilization, our ancient African civilization is still with us today. They never totally discarded it. You're going to see what I mean, right? Why did they not discard it? Because it was too advanced, it was too structured, and it was too valuable for them to discard it. So even though they try and give the impression that we never contributed anything to the world, the reality is that what we had was so valuable that instead of discarding it, instead of throwing it away, they copied it, they adapted it, they renamed it, they whitewashed it, they repackaged it, and then over time, they represented it to us as if it was something new. Now, they continue to do that today. If I even talk about, for example, the music industry, we are the creators of all these wonderful musical genres. And what do? They come in, they copy us, they adapt what we do, they give a new name to it, whitewash it, and then repackage it back to us as if it's something new. This is a strategy of theirs that they've got in their playbook that they use over and over again. And this is what they did with our ancient African civilization. They whitewashed it, repackaged it, and presented it to us as if it was something new, and then called it modern civilization. But this modern civilization didn't appear out of nowhere. It was tailored. It was tailored based on our African systems that had already existed. It was tailored and based on our governance systems, our religious frameworks, our industries, our educational institutions, our disciplines of knowledge. They tailored their so-called modern society on our African civilizations and governance systems and all of our other systems. And here's, it's the strategy. But the other way of looking at it, family, is that in so doing, it's also preserved a lot of our culture. Our culture is in, today's governance systems, it's in some of the religious frameworks, it's in the industries, the educational institutions and the disciplines. It's preserved in there. The only thing is that the identity and the credit has been removed. And that's why our history is hidden in plain sight, because it's ours. They've repackaged our ancient, our civilizations, our industries, our educational systems. They've repackaged it, presented it as their own, removed us as the originators, removed our names, changed the names, changed the narratives, given new layers of reinterpretation of our systems and our institutions and the way we did things, called it something different, and then repackaged it and represented it to us, and then gave us a different story, a story where we are not recognized as the creators, a story where it was suggested to us that we were nothing but slaves, and a story that has made us out to be insignificant. And they have been so successful at peddling this enslavement story as if our entire existence revolved around us being enslaved, that many of us, regurgitate that story every day. And if they happen to come across a melanated person of some significance, it was, oh, the white slave master taught him to read and write, or their white slave master felt sorry for them and freed them. And as a result, they went on to become this great. No, we were always great. And, not all of our people were enslaved. And many of us were even enslaved on the land where we were. They suggest that we didn't contribute anything or that we contributed nothing. But the reality is that we built the foundation, and anything else that they tell us other than that is a lie from the pit of hell. The truth is, we were the source. We are the source. And as much as they try to demonize and as much as they try to vilify and taboo our Asian history, it is the foundation of what today's modern society has been built upon. And we need to take the credit of that. And so, we need to embrace our history, fearlessly embrace our history, because it's the basis, it's the foundation of civilization itself. It was a civilization and a civilized world that was far greater than the world that we're in today. Because those who are trying to manage the great civilization that we had only inherited, a fragment of what we were able to comprehend, because they were not intelligent enough as beings, as the other species on this earth, to be able to comprehend the high level of knowledge that we had as Africans. And that's something we're going to have to get our head around. We're going to have to get our head around the fact that the other species that is among us today is unable to comprehend the high level of advanced civilization and knowledge that we had as Africans, that we have the potential to have again as Africans. But they know that if they keep us distracted and if they stop us from developing and growing again as a people, that we will never be able to reach the great heights that we were able to reach back in the days. And that's the trick in their system. And, before I move on from there, sorry, just absorb this image. It's beautiful. I hope you can see, this representation of one of our early civilization. And if you're looking at this and recognizing it, as a window into the past, and you can see the greatness that must have existed on the continent, and then you can see how some of it was actually replicated again today, you will realize that the system didn't totally erase the civilization that we had created at all. It just erased our connection to the civilization. And it's still continuing to try and erase our connection to our ancient civilization today. So moving on, because fortunately for us, our ancestors were master builders of stone. And one thing about stone is it doesn't forget. And our ancestors carved their knowledge, their skill, their identity into stone. And as a result, we have the evidence that has survived to this very day of our former greatness. So when we look at the works of ancient Kemet, we must understand also that these works didn't begin there in Kemet. It was Kemet became the epicenter of generations and centuries of knowledge. We have evidence of pyramids in Sudan and all over Africa. And so we know that, the knowledge of engineering and science and stonemasonry that was all over Africa. There were great cities and great kingdoms all over Africa, and there are fragments of the city walls that still remain. There are fragments of pyramids. There are stone monuments and stone circles and tombs yet to be uncovered all over Africa and the rest of the world that was built by our ancient ancestors. Egypt was just the epicenter where all of our generations and centuries of knowledge was kind of centralized and refined over hundreds of years. And, all of the greatness across the continent, kind of gravitated with their skills and their energy to Kemet, and making that region the master piece and the showcase of our advanced societies back in the day. So stonemasonry wasn't just a craft, it was an African science, yeah? Because it involved, probably a significant section of the population. This is an ancient discipline, and this ancient discipline of stonemasonry and carving monuments and facial features at such detail into mountains and stone, this is monumental stuff. And this was a discipline that existed in our world when the world was black. And we told our stories through stone, even just looking at the inner tomb here, and the works of the master stone builders there tells an important story, and this is what we did. We put our stories into stone, and all of these stories just evolved from early structures and early times, and we see the stories in the monuments, and we see the achievements, we see the intricacies of the works of those great artists and sculptors, and we see the precision and the design, and all of that should be sending a very clear message to us, of our potential greatness, and we've been seeing this evidence across these series in every part of the world that we have gone to, where we have been looking at the works of our ancestors. We have seen the evidence of our great architecture, our great stonemasonry builders. We've seen how they can just align huge megalithic monuments, to great scales, colossal structures that have stood for thousands of years without the machinery that we've got today. The engineering skills that we had back then has endured for thousands of years, and they had the nerve to call us primitive. They had the nerve to say that we were not advanced as societies, and they're unable to replicate the great works that we were able to do back then. Our ancestors have developed our own tools, our own methods, our own systems, and our own way of shaping our world. What does that tell us? It tells us if we did it then, we can do it again today. We should be able today, if we lock ourselves off from these primitive beings that came out the caves on all fours when the ice cap melted. We managed to lock ourselves off from them. We should be able to develop our own tools again, our own methods, our own way of doing things, our own systems, our own institutions, our own everything, and we should be able to begin to shape our world again. Stone remembers what their history books have tried to erase. Big up our ancestors and those stone builders. Let me just check that you're still on board. Brother Kwame says, incredible, beautiful sites. Yes, were built by Africans. Yes, indeed. Rise up, Brother Kwame, and to everybody who's watching and who's in the house. Please do remember to give me a thumbs up and a like. It's a privilege to have you on board. Let me see some of the chats. How do I get rid of that? That's right, good. Yes, Kwame, agree. We don't owe anyone anything. The world owes us. He says they can go to hell. Africans building sites upon sites, remarkable, incredible, beautiful sites. Thank you, beloved. We got AO in the house who says Africans worked stone for at least 300,000 years. Know that. You know, I believe, yeah, that, you know, these stoneworks go into the hundreds of thousands of years. We just need to get the carbon dating right, you know. So when we start developing our own tools and our own methods and our own way of investigating our history for ourselves, I absolutely believe, Brother Aya, that that is what we will find, you know. And I know that we go back hundreds of thousands of years of advanced knowledge, because it takes 26,000 years for the world to rotate on its axis. And we were able to measure that and monitor it and predict it. And so if it takes 26,000 years for that to happen, how many times would that have had to have happened? And how many times would our great ones with the knowledge of astronomy and the stars and everything else would have observed this for in our institutions before we could make these accurate depictions? So that alone, you know, tells us how ancient we really are as a people. Rise up, Brother Thomas. Good to have you in the house as always. We build so many things that they teach. For real, for real. Could you tell us, the Black people, from what star constellation did you come from? Brother Thomas, I don't know. I can't tell you that. I've not read that book yet, but as soon as I read the book and I acquire the knowledge, you know, I will let you know. Brother Kwame Rogers said, family, read an excellent book written by our Pan-African scholar from Guyana, the late George G.M. James, Stolen Legacy. I have that book. High five, Brother Kwame, can absolutely recommend it as well. I'll jump back to the chat again in a little later. So over the series, we've been looking quite a lot of the monuments that we have been building above ground. But family, not only did we build above ground, and not only were our ancient ancestors, not only did they have the capability to be able to build exceptionally above ground, but they were also building below ground. Let me just tell you what I've uncovered here. We were building tunnels, mine shafts, underpasses, crypts. There are tombs that have been built underground, sepulchres, burial chambers. Our ancestors were building above ground and below ground. And to cement these capabilities, while we were building these mind-blowing pyramids as well. And we've got the pyramid of Hawara that is referred to as a labyrinth. It is a city under the pyramids. And let me give you this quote. It says, it's a massive layout of multiple courtyards, chambers, and halls. Was the very largest building in antiquity, boasting 3,000 rooms. 1,500 of them were above ground, and 1,500 of these rooms were underground. This is the extent to which, you know, our engineering and scientific capabilities stretched us. And we've got here a pictorial layout of the labyrinth. And this pictorial representation of our ancient African brilliance is depicted here by this 17th century German Jesuit who tried to create a pictorial reproduction of the labyrinth, how based on how Herodotus had actually described it. And I would love for some of our artists and our skilled people to be able to create a pictorial layout of what this phenomenal structure that our ancestors built must have looked like. I mean, this is what I've come across here, and this is a pictorial presentation of the labyrinth of Hawara in Kemet, and it was rediscovered back in 2008 during an archaeological dig. And, you know, let me just give you a bit of a flavor of this discovery. I quote, "The first major historian to discuss the labyrinth in Kemet was the Greek author Herodotus, 448 BC to 425 BC, who in book 2 of his histories wrote that the structure surpassed the greatest of even the Egyptian pyramids." I don't know if he actually called it Egyptian pyramids at that time. He may well have called it the Kemetian pyramids. Anyway, the Egyptian, it says, made a labyrinth which surpasses even the pyramid. It has 12 roofed courts with doors facing each other. 6 face north and 6 face south, and 2 continuous lines, all within 1 outer wall. There are also double sets of chambers, 3,000 altogether, 1,500 above and the same number underground. He said, "We learned through conversation about the labyrinth's underground chambers that the Egyptian caretakers would by no means show them as they were," they said, "the burial vaults of the kings who first built this labyrinth and of the sacred crocodiles." It seems like back then we knew how to keep them out. We never showed them. Anyway, it says the upper we saw, so they saw the upper level. And it says the upper we saw for ourselves. So this is Herodotus now giving us an eyewitness account of what the upper level looks like. He said, "And they are creations greater than human." He said, "The exits of the chambers and the mazy passages hither and thither through the courts were an unending marvel to us. Over all this is a roof made of stone like the walls, and the walls are covered with cut figures, and every court is set around with pillars of white stone, very precisely fitted together. Near the corner where the labyrinth ends stands a pyramid 240 feet high, on which great figures are cut. A passage to this has been made underground." Oh yeah! Family, why are we not studying this in our schools, colleges, and universities? Why are we not studying these great labyrinths, this great labyrinth that was created by our ancestors, where our kings are buried, where there are chambers and mazes that just run and run and run in an ever unending marvel, where, you know, there were cut figures on the court, on the ceilings, all around. You know, those figurines have all disappeared because we know, you know, the image that would have been depicted on those walls. Let's go back to time to look at, you know, some of the images that you know, they may have come across during those times. So continuing with ancient Kemetic art, we can see that our ancestors were very proud of their identity. We can see, how they, carved their facial details on into their art. And we can even see, from their art, how our ancestors styled their hair. Some may not like it, but this is how our ancestors styled their hair. And this is the bust of Meritatmun. And now Meritatmun was a royal princess of ancient Kemet, and she was the daughter of one of Kemet's most powerful pharaohs, Ramesses II. Ramesses II was so great, he was also known as Ramesses the Great. So, look how proud our ancestors were of their image, so much so that they carved their image with pride into monuments for eternity. She is one of our princesses, and she was not just royal by birth, she held an important position. She had a very high status in Kemet, in the royal household, and is believed to have been responsible for carrying out numerous roles as the king's daughter. And she was also possibly the great royal wife, because in later tradition, the royal daughters sometimes held the elevated ceremonial role as the royal wife. And so this priceless piece actually presents to us today more than a portrait of what, our royal Kemetian princess, Ramesses' daughter, actually looked like back in the day. But we can see without a shadow of a doubt from her beautiful African face that obviously her mother and father, Ramesses II, who was her father, that her parents must have been African, indisputable. And look, at what we considered back then to be a standard of beauty. And this standard of beauty, has lasted the test of time. We can see this beautiful Black princess. Why are our children, not introduced early in life to these beautiful real life Black princesses? Why are they being fed, misinformation about white princesses when we have all of these Asian beautiful Black princesses? She's wearing her traditional African hairstyle. It is a braided wig, which was a fashionable beauty status and style at the time. And it's still a fashionable a beauty statement until today. And so, we need to know our history before we follow, trends sometime. I want to throw out our culture and our traditions that have been built over thousands and thousands of years. Look at our beautiful African princess in her, braided wig. This was cultural refinement. This was a fashion. This was a hairstyle. This was a style. Look at her eyes, look at her makeup. This is a craft that African women would have developed and engineered and created over thousands of years, over generations. This would have been a tradition that would have been passed, like the technique of braiding would have been passed from mother to daughter, and from daughter, when she became a mother, to her daughter. The style of putting the child between your legs and braiding their hair, and then watching in the mirror, and then them trying it on their siblings. This is a craft that had been engineered over thousands of years, developed to the fine, beautiful detail that we see on so many of these Cometian monuments all over. And so this symbol of status that we are looking at, this symbol of beauty, this symbol of cultural identity is something I would say we need to be proud of as a people. This smooth, symmetrical, facial, representation of a beautiful princess, idealized, in ancient times for her beauty and her balance, and is still, as you can see, being idolized today. Let's respect our culture, our traditions, our standards of beauty, the works and the crafts of the African women, our capability, our design skills, beautiful, beautiful piece of art there as well. And the artists, we don't even know who the artists were that did this portrait image of this beautiful queen, but it gives us a window into the past. And I'm so glad that they did this piece, because as she stands here on this podium, this image of a princess, she's a reminder of a civilization that preserved its people in art form. So we have now in our memory a memory of our Asian civilization, because it's been preserved in art form, and we can see ourselves through this beautiful monument, because this is giving us a window into the past that goes back thousands of years. And here we are thousands of years later, still in the presence of this beautiful, beautiful empress. Wow. They may try and erase our empires, but the faces that those empires have left behind in art still speak to us today, and they speak volumes, family. Here we have some more images of our ancient African royals. But these African royals were not just royals back then, they were goddesses. We are looking here not just at the status of a wife, or as a mother, or as a pharaoh. They also were regarded as goddesses. And this figurine in image 1 here is the monument of Queen Tuya, also known as Mut Tuya. And in this image, she's actually wearing her Cometian headdress. And you can see here that we've got 2 other monuments as well, where she's actually rocking what looks to me like her braided wig. Have I got it wrong? Some of you are going to say, I've got it wrong. Tell me what you think she is rocking here. And to me, it's how the artists have interpreted her braided wig. And the reason why I say this as well is because I was actually at a trade fair just a couple of days ago here in West Africa. And at the trade fair, they've got a lot of wonderful, beautiful carved African heads. Have I got any around here? Carved African heads. And these African heads actually depict cane row very similarly. Let me see if I can find one. Let me see this one. What on there? What on there, family? Look at this. Oh, this is heavy. Can you see this? Oh, hang on. Can you see this monument here? Look at how the artists have done her braids. Hang on. Oops, because it's there it is. Look at how the artists have done the braids on this wooden sculptured piece. And I saw this all over the trade fair where, the artists, the sculptors actually sculpt until today are using, are using the same techniques that we probably used, this is heavy, thousands of years ago to depict cane row and braids. Have I got it wrong? You tell me, but it looks like that our sisters here are actually rocking their braided wig styles. And wow, this is a style that we even recognize today. And if it is that, then it's a style that has survived thousands and thousands of years. Wow. So she was the wife of Pharaoh Seti I and mother of Ramesses II. And these statuettes are currently housed in the Vatican museums in Rome. And the statue has a really interesting story, but I won't go into the story right now. But it's believed that these were originally sculpted back in the 18th dynasty and features Queen Tyre. So this is featuring Queen Tyre, wife of Amenhotep. So I've got to check. I've got image 1. This must be going on to image 2. Sorry about that. So look at this symbolism as well of what she's got here. It says that it's an ancient musical instrument that's associated with the goddess Hathor, and she would have used this in her role as a priestess. So she wasn't just, a royal figure. She was regarded as a priestess as well. Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to, I've written image 1, but I haven't written image 2 and 3. So I'm going to have to qualify that for the next one, because I've then got, she was the wife of Pharaoh Seti I and mother of Ramesses II. These statuettes, I think that these statuettes, I didn't write image 2 and 3, which I should have done. Yeah, these statuettes, in fact, I said statuettes, these are these 2 here. So yes, I'm pretty sure that is it. And so these were royal queens, priestesses, individuals who would have been honored, yeah, were symbols of beauty, who were honored in the Cometian days and times, in our ancient time when the world was black. Let's have a look at some of the jewelry and pieces of treasures that they've got on exhibition here. So there's actually a Ramesses and the Gold of the Pharaohs exhibition that's touring at the moment. And I'm going to look at a couple of pieces from that exhibition. They're actually featuring about 180 pieces of artifacts, but I'm going to home in on a few of them because, again, for me, it's actually highlighting, the skills of the craftsmanship, and gives us an insight into the lifestyle and into, the world that we were living in back then. Let me quickly turn here. Right, jump down. Yes, Betty, they stole everything from Africa. We got the DJ Jamaican Junko in the it's a long time. DJ Jamaican Junko, how are you doing? Hope all is well. I was reaching out as well to our beloved sister, Afrijamo. I haven't seen her in the house for a couple of strongs. I hope you're well, beloved sis. He says, this world is an inferior duplicate of the African Black world. I love the way you put that. The Wazungu still have not gotten it. Look at the destruction and chaos in today's world. For real, DJ Jamaican Junker, the Jamaican, no, not DJ, the Jamaican Junker. For real. This world today, he said, is an inferior duplicate of our ancient black world. I love the way you put that. For real. Nubian queens indeed. What a beautiful, beautiful sight, says Brother Kwame Oboje. Okay, so here we've got some of the items that are being displayed, and these are from the Ramesses and the Gold Pharaoh exhibition that's actually touring. It's in London at the moment, in Battersea. And as part of this exhibition, they've got over 180 pieces of artifacts from our time when the world was actually black. And, you know, we shouldn't just see these as objects. We should see these as a glimpse into our ancient world. We should see this as a glimpse into our past before our world was destroyed. Like the Jamaica Jungle is saying, you know, he's pointing out, you know, how chaotic the world is today and the extent of the destruction that these people continue, you know, to cause around the world. And it's their nature. And they've been doing that from day one. But prior to all of that, we had a different world that we were living in. And this is a little glimpse of the richness of that world, the sophistication of that world, the lifestyle of our royals, our belief systems, our industries, a glimpse of, you know, what our social structures and societies must have been like, what our civilization must have been like as that we were living in as African people, the height of our power, how we lived, how we worked, the things that we produced, the things that we created before we had any contact with any Caucasian. This is a glimpse into the past, because what we're actually looking at here is not just how our royals adorned themselves, because obviously it's status, but it's also identity. It's also about, you know, what we gave value to, what our belief system must have been, what we made visible, what we brought from the imagination of our mind into existence. So we have a gold mask here, we've got the broad collars, the pectorals, the amulets, we've got, you know, bracelets, rings, you know, these are all things. We've got the sandals, you know, they all point to a very high culture that we had mastered, yeah, back in the day. The metallurgy, the design, the symbolic impressions and symbols all over, the intricacies of the design, the use of gold that to us represented divinity and eternity. And pieces like, you know, these winged pictorial and the scarab motifs that symbolize protection, you know, and the rebirth and cosmic order. We had our belief systems engraved into our jewelry, just like we might wear the cross today, or the Star of David, or the ant. You know, this goes back. The idea of, you know, engraving our belief system into jewelry, we can see here, goes back thousands of years. And so all of this is telling us a story about our Kemetian high culture that was not just a superficial one, that it was an intentional one. Every ornament that was carved had meaning. Wow. So when you wore a piece of jewelry, when our royals wore a piece of jewelry. It wasn't just for decoration like today. It was a declaration of who they were, what they believed in, what life was all about. And it was about their identity as well. And that is deep, family, really deep. So here we have in statue one, I'm glad I wrote statue one, a statue of Queen Tuya, who we met a couple of slides ago. Here she is here again, rocking her long braided hair or wig or hair extensions. So, you know, again, just pointing out that this is an African style that goes back thousands of years. And I know some of you are not going to want to embrace that hairstyle, but this is a creation that we as Africans created, a very sophisticated, in my lifetime, yeah, Caucasians tried to steal this hairstyle and called it the Bo Derek hairstyle. Yeah, who remembers that? Tried to give credit to tried to give credit to our hairstyle that had been developed thousands of years ago, trying to give credit to a white woman. Yeah. So anyway, this is Queen Tua, whose broad nose, as you can see, has been chipped off here. Her crown has been, you know, hacked off as well. But you can see that she would have been wearing a beautiful collar. She was wearing an outfit that was intricately designed. She would have been beautifully dressed. And next to her is the head, and this was a colossal head of the statue of Ramesses II. So this would have been taken off of one of those huge, tall monuments that we would have been looking at, where the head was actually missing. And as you can see, this broad nose is also missing. That's been chopped off. And these are taken from that same Ramesses the Gold exhibition that's touring at the moment. Homing in on the image here of Ramesses II or Ramesses the Great. And as I've mentioned, he's one of, he was a powerful pharaoh. And this specific image of him is made of cedar wood, and it's a cedar wood coffin, which was discovered in 1881 by some grave robbers, grave diggers that they call architects. And he's depicted here in that Assyrian pose, and this is said to resemble Osiris, who was the god of the afterlife. Okay. He's got his arms crossed over his chest, and there's two symbols of authority here as well. The flail, known as the rod, and the staff. And the crook, they call it the crook and the flail, but we know it as the rod and staff. And these are traditional Kemetian symbols of royal authority and divinity. So the crook, they also call that the heka, that's held in his right hand. And the staff, which is, they also call the flail or the nekhaka, is held in his left hand. And that we also know as the rod and staff. Look how far back that concept goes. For us, you know, the rod was also known as an agricultural tool. It symbolized fertility. It also symbolized the ruler's authority to maintain order and discipline. And together, he's holding the rod and staff because these items had a dual kind of nature of kingship. It was about him being responsible over the kingdom. As the leader of the kingdom, he had the role to be the disciplinarian and also the protector. we're going to go into that a little bit more. Here, I've honed in on this image here from the exhibition, because it's showing a broad collar. This was worn by Princess Kenmet. And Princess Kenmet wore this royal jewelry back in the 12th dynasty, the Middle Kingdom, roughly about 1932 to 1898 BC. And that collar was discovered back in 1894 by some French Egyptologists. And Princess Kenmet, who wore this piece of jewelry, was the king's daughter. And her jewelry was designed to provide both the royal status and to give her the divine protection in the afterlife. These are all ankhs. This piece of jewelry here is full of ankhs. There's an ankh, and I've honed in on some of the ankhs. Loads of ankhs and symbols that represent the afterlife. This collar was made of gold, carnelian, feldspar, and glass paste, and it features two terminals shaped like falcons, like falcon heads, and they represent the god Horus, who symbolize protection and kinship. So in all of this, there's all this symbolism as well in these symbolism intricately designed in all of these rows and beads, powerful symbols. We've got the ankh representing life. We've got the jeded pillars representing stability. And we've got what was the scepters representing power or dominion, all in this necklace here. That's on display as well in the exhibition. Here in the exhibition, they've got the colossal statue of Ramesses II in limestone. And in this second image here, and these images here, we've got a display of more ancient Kemetian jewelry. And the prominent one that's featured here is this broad collar, and that's the broad collar of Princess Neferuta, and she's from the 12th dynasty BC. All these beautiful works of art that our children should be studying, should be drawing in their art classes, should be learning about the symbolism in it. This is what our royals were actually rocking thousands of years ago in our ancient kingdom. Look at these gold collars and earrings and bracelets and rings. This is what royalty looks like back then, not like Prince Charles and Camilla do today. Anyway, not to get sidetracked. These pieces are exhibited as well in the Ramesses, the Gold of the Pharaohs exhibition. And when you look at the intricacies of the design, again, it's demonstrating the extraordinary ability and capabilities of our artisans back in the days. I mean, this broad collar, the centerpiece, is made up of hundreds of small cylinder-shaped beads, hundreds of them. And the designs are intricate, they're orderly, they're tiered, they're strand after strand, multiple rows of these golden beads, meticulously strung together to give this wide bib shape and this teardrop. There's individual teardrop pendants along the bottom as well. Beautiful visual rhythm and symmetry to this piece. And then somewhere on here, you've got a falcon head clasp to it as well. Beautiful, beautiful golden works of art. Because of time, let me move on from that piece to just a glimpse of the golden funerary mask of Pharaoh Amen-Mopi. And this funerary mass is of the pharaoh who ruled during the 21st dynasty of Kemet, roughly 993 BC, during the third intermediate period. And it provides us again with an insight into the civilization of those that produced it. Now, they were producing these funerary masks and all these funerary goods because, you know, our ancient ancestors believed in the afterlife. And this was the mask that was intended to preserve, you know, the king's features for the afterlife. They think that, you know, they wanted to ensure that his soul would recognize and return to its body if it could see its feature in its, you know, headdress. And you can see here they've got the cobra on the brow, and that's another standard symbol of royal power and divine protection. And all of this really is just making us aware of, you know, the lifestyle, the amount of gold that was used, what we used gold for. You know, Amenhotep's burial, they said, was less lavish than his father, Sinunes I, because while his father had a solid silver coffin, Amenhotep's mask was made of gilded wood covered in gold leaf. And historians are suggesting that there might have been a shift in the period of his reign, which made resources a bit more limited. But look at the mastership of the craftsmanship of the work here. Look at the skills that are demonstrated here. And you can see, you know, the dark, you know, coal makeup that the Egyptians wore that, you know, many of us still design today when we do our makeup. We see many people who use this Egyptian style on their eyes and their eyebrows until today. And to think that, you know, we created all of this thousands of years ago and it's still with us today. Here in the image, we've got the showcase of more artifacts from the Ramesses exhibition. And key to the monument here, we can see the coffin of Ramesses II. This is the Anthropid wooden coffin, one of the centerpieces of the artifacts of this exhibition. It's about 3,000 years old, they say. They say it's the original piece that served as the final resting place for Ramesses the Great. And here we also have the sarcophagus of Queen Nesekonsu. And this is displayed alongside Ramesses's coffin. I'm surprised they put this here because you can almost see this beautiful African woman's features, you know, jumping out at you. But yeah, there she is with her beautiful headdress. And you know, she's been exhibited. Well, this original piece of the sarcophagus is being exhibited and displayed alongside Ramesses's coffin here as well. And they've got the background features. There's a lot more in the background that we can't see too well here, so I won't pull that up there. But jump into some other pieces in the exhibition, other pieces of gold jewelry. This is the gold jewelry of Susenes. This is an elaborate piece of African jewelry. It's a golden Shebu collar of Pharaoh Susenes the First, a masterpiece for its time. And when I looked into, you know, how this was made up, first of all, just to let you know, it's from the 21st century dynasty. That's 1047 to 1001 BC. And it was discovered intact in the tomb at Tanis. And this piece of jewelry here actually weighs 6 to 8 kilograms. That's 13 to 17 pounds of solid gold Wow, 13 to 17 pounds of solid gold. And this is, has journeyed with them into the afterlife. The afterlife is today, family. They've survived thousands of years to give us an insight into their advanced civilization. And look at the detail, on this centerpiece here as well. So it's our ancestors. We had advanced mining skills. Our metallurgists, they had a level of sophistication that our pathetic African leaders, are not even allowing our African miners to develop today. They're so busy trying to chase them out of the mines. Little do they know that these may well be the descendants of some of these great miners of the past who were mining, mining the gold and creating these wonderful, beautiful pieces, from ancient times. If we did it then, we may, be able to recall how we did it and do it again. So we had exceptional skills and capabilities, and the tools that we used and the equipment that we used, look at what it was actually producing. So this is the solid gold bracelet of Sue Fenez, who was buried with 3 of these collars no less. And when you even look at today's standard of jewelry craftsmanship, it's, it can't really compare. There's somewhere where I actually got the detail of this, and this collar, let me see if I can quickly find it. This collar is made up of 14 braided gold chains, 14 braided chains, and each of them are ending, it said, in these braided, where is it, lotus, hang on, let me try and find it. Right, braiding and chains. So the collar terminates in 14 braided gold chains, each ending in a delicately crafted lotus flower bead, showcasing the ability to work gold into fine, flexible wires and complex decorative forms. And here, somewhere I read, and I'm trying to find it, this is made up, here I found it. This collar bit here is made up of over 5,000 wafer thin gold discs arranged around these 7 concentric strands. 5,000, they've counted, wafer thin discs. Wow, wow, wow. An absolutely phenomenal feat of craftsmanship. Wow, wow, wow. Family, we are phenomenal above our ability to even picture ourselves. And the truth is, in conclusion, our history was never truly lost. It was hidden in plain sight. In the symbols repeated across the continents, in the traditions that have survived through time, the signs have always been there, guiding us. But only if we know what we're looking at. Only if we understand the language of our ancestors, the language of stone, the symbols, and the continuity. Because once we learn to recognize it, then we begin to see the connections and we begin to see the truth. Our history was never truly lost. It was hidden in plain sight. They tried to erase our history, but family, it's still with us waiting for us to decode it and waiting for us to read it. It's all around us, our history. It's still with us in the educational institutions, in the science we use, the mathematics we use, in our building construction skills. And as I said in the presentation, we are only operating at about 10% of our possible capability. Let me leave the presentation there for today, and let me leave it with you, family. Our history was never erased. It is still with us today. They have simply repackaged it and represented it to us and renamed it and have claimed it as their own, when in fact it's part of our wonderful, beautiful legacy as Africans. They do what they do best. They imitate, they copy, they rename, they replace, and whitewash, and then give it back to us as something new. And how do they give it back to us as something new? They're like, oh, we have just discovered. What they mean is, we have just managed to decipher from the writings of our ancient ancestors a bit more information. Why, oh boy. Family, I certainly hope that you enjoyed the presentation today. Certainly hope that you enjoyed it enough to want to give me a thumbs up, to want to share it, you know, and to want to even comment on the presentation when you come out of the show today. Let me just go back to the chat. Let me read again what the Jamaica Drumper did say. I really like that comment there. He said, this world, and he means today's world, is an inferior duplicate of the ancient black world. You got it spot on, beloved. The Wugzungus still have not gotten it. Look at the destruction and chaos in the world today. For real, Sister Adora, they stole everything from Africa. We've got Madame Emojo in the house. Welcome, welcome. Madame Emojo says they pervert our tech. They pervert our tech. Oh my God, Karen's saying about the jewelry. She's saying it's beautiful. It is, isn't it? Beautiful, so beautiful museum pieces. Ah, mostly handmade. Yes, indeed. So beautiful, 100. Look how long the items have lasted, for real. Master artists, indeed. Ah, pure teeth. Brother Kwame, I said, pure teeth and cheap, for real. Brother Junkro, where have you been? Edit, where have you been? And Karen is reminding us that what we have been looking at are examples of our black-tastic capabilities. Rise up, Sister Karen. Rise up, Sister Adwa. Absolutely beautiful indeed. Robert Kwame says, our people from Ghana stupidly were killing themselves when Chinese people were using them to go into the mines to get them gold. Madness, innit? You know, we are the original miners. We are the ones who crafted those superior, superbly, supremely beautiful pieces of jewelry. And if we could do it then, I believe we can do it again, family. The knowledge is in our DNA, and we just need to go inside of ourselves and find that knowledge and those skills again and bring it out. Verna, the coach, is in the house. She says, absolutely beautiful. Great to know you're still with us, Sister V. Thank you so much. Brother Kwame saying Africans should take our design for granted. We are an inspirational people. These pathetic demons failed so miserably that he's saying there has to be consequences from our ancestors for these colonizers stealing from these tombs. You know what, Sister Betty? You know, we are our ancestors. You know, the DNA of my mother, her mother, her mother, her mother is in me. We are our ancestors. We are the living, walking, breathing version of our ancestors. And we are the ones who are going to have to hold these people to account. We are the ones who are going to have to wake up and come to our senses and come together as a people to save ourselves and to save our future, because they are systematically wiping us off of the face of the earth on a daily basis in a multiplicity of ways. In a multiplicity of ways. These people not stop. Not only are they destroying the planet, but they're destroying the animal life, they're destroying the marine life, they're destroying the insect world, they're destroying the agricultural land, they're destroying the planet, and they're destroying they've already destroyed most of the ancient civilization, and the evidence that still remains of it. They continue to destroy and blow it up. And I was bringing you the evidence of that in the last presentation. I was showing you that while the war in Iran and Iraq was going on, there was another war going on, and that was the war to destroy the evidence of our ancient monuments. You know, it's you know, that we got to wake up. We got to wake up. Robert Thomas says, still don't understand why Justinian and Theodosius destroyed the ancient Egyptian system. Well, you know, we're learning today that a lot of it wasn't actually destroyed. It was rebranded and repackaged and represented to us. And a lot of what they did, they dismantled a lot of the ancient cities as well. And they scattered it all over what they would have called the New World. And so you could be looking at the columns from Kemet, when you're looking at, for example, the British Museum. Every time I go to the British Museum and I look at those columns, I look at them and I think, my mind tells me say, them teeth from Kemet, you know. You know, we know that they've got, you know, the what do you call those tall needle eye, they call them Isis needle or something. We know that they've got those tall needle eyes that they've stolen from Egypt. They've got one in France, they've got one in London, they've got one in America, in Washington. You know, they've got symbols of the theft from our ancient world all around us, but they don't give us the knowledge of the origin of these pieces. And that's why we've got to do the work for ourselves to know that these were actually from our ancient kingdoms that they stole. You know, when they go into the kingdoms with the intention of destroying it, but it's so beautiful, it's so wonderful, you know, they have to keep some of it. Yeah, that's how beautiful and wonderful some of our works of art was, which is why they kept it. And fortunately they did, because now, you know, we're able to look at it and be reminded of our former greatness. Thank you, Sister Verna, who said that she thoroughly enjoyed my presentation. Thank you so much. Please do put that comment, you know, in the video after the chat has closed, so that others can say, oh, Verna, the coach, enjoyed this video. Maybe I should watch it because it's probably really good. Thank you. Dora Fell, rise up, rise up. And yes, keep on rising, don't flatten out. Yeah. Karen, thank you so much for joining us as well today. It's always a pleasure to have you all in the house. Thanks to researchers like you, Dr. Winters, she says, and others are here to bring out the truth. Do my best, rise up. Dora Fell, good to have you in the house, says, when you don't know your own worth, you will let other people sucker you out of your value. For real, they have reduced our value, you know, to a point of almost insignificance. But yet, look at how glorious and magnificent the world was when it was black. We got Lark in the house who's saying, hi all. No, the Caucasians are in trouble, regardless of the laws they pass against our people or for future atrocities that may occur. TMH has us in hand. TMH. Anyway, my people, y'all, remember that, okay? I'll try to work out TMH. Sorry, it's a bit late. Karen says, the truth that is hidden in the shadows. Yes, indeed. Obelisk. Thank you, Sister Betty, Sister Adawa. Thank you so much. The obelisks. Them teeth, the obelisks, them have one in London, they have one in Paris, they have one in Washington. The damn teeth, everything. Like Brother Kwame, a reminder, teeth. Anyway, family, fortunately, what we are left with today are some remnants from when the world was black that can remind us of our greatness. I have a great presentation lined up for you the next strong family. Please do join me nice and early. You're going to be seeing the symbolism now. I'm going to be going into symbolism, okay, from and the origins of some of these symbolisms that we think are new today and that we use today. More love, more strength. Sister Shanice out of here for now. I look forward to you joining me next strong, and please do share the video. Thank you so much.